All right, welcome to Real Talk, Real Stories, Real Change with a special edition. I'm your host, Gordon Watt, and I have special guests and my other co-host, Mr.
Julian Morales.
Yes. So we have a special guest. In fact, it's not too often I get to have two executive directors on this show, but I just wanted to say it was a special anniversary last month, but with Miss Cherie's busy schedule, finally got her on. So let me start the show off. We're gonna run this trailer right here, and we're gonna get going and get introduce you to everybody. All right, welcome to a special edition of Real Talk, Real Stories, Real Change with Julian Morales, and we had a special guest for since our anniversary special edition because we have Miss Cherie Corneal, and she was the executive director for the Real Talk program out here in Las Vegas that branched off into Real Talk EP. And I just wanted to say that it's been a pleasure working with her all these years. And I wanted her to explain the story. I have a bunch of questions that me and Julian can ask her. Basically, this is going to be like a grill team for Miss Cherie since it's her anniversary for the Real Talk program. Miss Cherie, introduce yourself.
Everybody, thank you again for tuning in. It's just a pleasure to work with Gordon and Julian. Gordon's been with me for 6.5 years, I believe now, and it's been an extraordinary experience. And I'm excited about all the new things that he's putting into place for Real Talk and continuously trying to get us known out there across the world. So hats off to you, Gordon, in reference to all the things you've been doing. Everybody, I think, my whole goal in life is just to save one kid at a time. And then with saving one child at a time, I also have the capabilities of allowing the ex-felons to be saved as well, the community to come together as a whole, and for families to be reunited and to continue to work with their children to get them in a better setting of life, so they know that they can achieve if they've been given the tools in order to achieve. So the ultimate goal is to make sure that we're making changes in people's lives, and it starts with the kids. But with the program in itself and having it, thank goodness that God has allowed me to continue to grow. It's a 7-year anniversary for us, and I'm super excited about what we have in the future for our program and Mr. Julian's program across in El Paso, Texas. So, we got some really big things getting ready to happen. We're just putting them together, but totally excited about everybody jumping on board. All the speakers that I've had over these years who are indebted to giving back to the community, and actually it's helping them stay on the lines of what they're supposed to be doing as a citizen first. So really excited about the change that we've had over these years and the outcomes that we've had as far as successes of these children who we've touched lives with.
Right. I mean, it goes to show that we cross borders. And my co-host, Mr. Julian Morales, how has Miss Cherie's program affected you in Texas? Because you jumped on board headfirst, went through some problems. What are some of the problems that you have that maybe Miss Cherie can answer for you right now?
Well, I mean, so Cherie and I speak frequently. I call her when I need advice.
Right.
When I first jumped in, to be quite honest, I thought it'd be a lot easier than it is. And hats off to Cherie. Like she mentioned, right now they're going on 7 years. We haven't even hit our first year mark, and I already feel like I'm running out of gas. I'm running out of creativity. I'm running out of things to generate money, ideas. But it's a tough struggle. The difference between her and I, obviously, is Cherie comes from the federal system as far as she was an officer. She was an officer.
Yeah.
She had a pool of guys to pick from that were doing good or that she thought had potential to be in the program. So in that aspect, I believe she had it a lot more together, or I know she has it a lot more together than we do. And then from the other aspect, we've had it a lot easier as far as with the community and stuff. So
Yeah.
there's no perfect balance. I would say it's the only balance is to keep on going forward.
Right,
and
right,
and
right,
that's I think that's
right.
the only balance we'll ever find is to keep on pushing forward for what we believe in. What we're doing is a good thing, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Uh, I mean, I wanted to ask, maybe since Miss Sheree, since like, give a brief reason why you started this such a long time ago. I mean, we heard your story live, but
Mhm.
since we're going to this digital space and putting this on the podcast and the YouTube channel and giving content that we can refer back to,
Mhm.
what was the reason why behind everything?
My passion has always been with kids. I knew at an early age that my calling was to work with kids, and so with that coupled with the direction that my brothers and had been involved in the system and not
Mm,
knowing exactly why. I mean, I'm from a family of 12. That's why I wrote the book about the reasons behind why things happen in our lives, and specifically with you all who've been in custody. There's a purpose. There's a reason why you went through everything you went through, because God sustained you, and you're here to tell your story to the children to save them. So all that being said, with experience and what I call my background is I was educated early on with my brothers being involved in the system. It allowed me to understand some reasons as to why people get involved in the system. It's not that we had horrible parents; they just made terrible choices. And so I noticed all of that from the prison, from the juvenile system, from visiting people in prison and my family, and I knew I wanted to help people. So, and more specifically the kids, because I always was the question of why. Why would these kids get involved? Even my siblings, why
Yeah.
would you do that? You know,
right.
this is something that could happen. So, with that being said, and noticing all of this, my goal was to become a juvenile parole officer. I graduated from college here in UNLV. I'm from California, Carson, California, and I started as a juvenile parole officer. That was my ultimate goal, and I wanted to help kids. And I did that for 5.5 years, and basically I got tired of the parents. So that was the only reason I took it to the adult level and went to the federal system. And I worked in the federal system for 15 years, overseeing, people who committed felony federal crimes. And
Right.
it was a blessing for me to go up that route, because I never wanted to work with adults, because in my theory was their mind is all set up. You can't shape and mold them. They are
I thought the same way.
they're not
Yeah.
as pliable as the youth.
Yeah.
So why would I want to work with the adults? But I'm a believer of you got to start from the top in order to work the way down and get to the root of the problem.
Right.
So
Yes.
that's why I went into the adult system, and then I reverted back to the kids because I knew that was my calling.
And that was a big part of me jumping on with after you gave me an explanation of what the program was actually about when
Right.
Bruce first put us in contact
Right.
was the fact that I used to always live my life that old dogs can't learn new tricks, right?
Mhm.
And then one day this old dog learned a new trick, and I'm like, wait, it is possible.
Mhm.
And this program, it brings both of those things together, right? We're reaching out to the kids at a young age,
Right.
and then
Mm,
we're helping those like us ourselves,
Mhm.
adults that are struggling with part of the reintegration
Right.
into society, and then
yeah.
part of the reintegration into our family, because it's
Mhm.
as an inmate, when you get out, there's two integrations that you're doing, and one is being accepted once again by your family,
Mhm.
people that you've hurt, people that you've burned bridges with, and then you have the battle of integrating back into society. And I believe that with this program, when we all get together and we meet up during the month, these guys give each other job leads, they give each other
Yep.
encouragement, and that's part of this program too. It's a youth impact program, and like Cherie said, her passion was with the kids, and I believe my passion first and foremost was for the adults, and now as I've gotten into this, and I've been able to go to these schools and meet these children and hear their stories and hear them speak into me their truth and what they're going through. Now I'm like, I'm ecstatic about helping the kids and the adults and the parents, and
Yep. Yep.
it's a very great program that Cherie put together from
Yep.
scratch, and I really love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like even for my situation, I was teaching a class at the Las Vegas Rescue Mission with people trying to get back on their feet until one of my students told me to get in touch with Miss Cherie. And that's how I gave her a call. We met at lunch. We met at a coffee shop or something that a few years ago. seeing what it's about. She, you know how she does it. Mystery tests
Yeah.
everybody out to see if they're going to be committed, right? And then
Yeah.
you follow up, and then what happened was I turned into this different person also along,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I also turned into, besides being the poster child for Vegas federal probation, getting a job on the strip because I was one of the first ones, and they always using me example because like there was always a time where they said you can't get a job on the ship on the Las Vegas strip, but I'm the type of person if you're gonna tell me I can't get it done, I'm gonna go get it done.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
the type of thing that the camaraderie we have with just ex-felons, knowing our pains, the struggles, and to have somebody like Miss Cherie understand that because of her
Yeah.
background makes it much easier to give to the community. And it's just one of those things that synergy between all of us, and it's
Yeah.
still branching out, is something that's really, really great.
Yeah.
Now,
And let me interject real quick, Gordon. With that being said,
absolutely.
too, the thing is, I want people to understand is the program is a holistic approach from the ex-felons, from the XPO, from the children, from the family. So we have to work together to make the community right, not just Mr. Julian right, Mr. Gordon right, the child right, the mom right. Everybody involved is a win-win, and we have to make sure that the people that see this, they have to feel it too and want to get involved.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and Julian, you said that about the camaraderie and that you guys get together and the crazy thing is you're now giving job referrals instead of giving drug sales. You're giving
Yeah.
job referrals.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of giving gun tosses to go with your homies to retaliate, you're now giving assistance and giving the gentleman or the lady.
Oh, Cherie cut out. We lost connection.
We lost this Cherie. We lost your connection. Oh.
Dial back in.
Yeah,
Dial back in.
dial back in.
No,
Well,
but
let me.
that's the
Oh,
stuff
there
she's
she is.
talking. There, she's coming in.
Wait, but you don't have no video. Your camera went out. part of the technical difficulties we have with Miss Cherie right here. Anyway, can you hear us though? That is so strange. We can hear you but not see you.
I can't hear her on my end.
Oh yeah, Miss Cherie, just come back in. Click the link back out and come back in. All right.
But
All right. So
what
so
she's
it's me and
talking
you.
about, yeah,
Yeah,
what she's talking
yeah.
about is something that you and I have talked about, right? Is we've stopped peddling drugs, we've stopped peddling the violence, and now it's time to start peddling.
Oh, she's back.
Something
She's
good.
back.
Go ahead, Cherie.
Yeah. Just part of it, right? So
Yeah.
Julian was just reminding the people of what you were trying to say and reaffirming what you were saying instead of all that stuff. So continue. Julian, you got to turn down your thing because you're echoing. There you go.
Are you good? I don't know.
You're echoing. You're echoing now, Cherie.
I have my headphone on.
Cherie's echoing.
I'm not sure. Maybe I got to get out of this.
Oh,
It's the
that's-
connection.
okay, that's
She's
the
having a
connection.
bad connection.
All right, go ahead.
So yeah, it's true. I mean, we have to stop peddling, the violence, the drugs,
Right.
recruiting these kids into these gangs, and start peddling the truth, the change, the job lead, the NA meeting, the AA meeting.
Mhm.
For a lot of us, the church. Hey, I found a good church over here. And when we do get together, that is the information that gets shared. And when we have our meetings, I've tried to, and we try to invite people to come in that help felons in the community. We had an organization here in El Paso that if the felon is on food stamps or receiving SNAP benefits, they qualify for free trucker school, and they pay them to go to trucker school. Yeah, and they get them enrolled and they get them their CDL. So these are the kinds of things that we get involved with in the community as well. And we have them come out and meet our speakers the nights that we're speaking. That way they know that we're also pulling for them. We're trying to find them resources as well. Along with the families, we bring in licensed professional counselors. We have counselors that offer psychiatry and psychology at a low rate. So there's a lot more to Real Talk than just the felons speaking to the kids. And I know that that's that's the conception that people get from us, and the misconception is that that's all that we do, but that's not all that Real Talk does.
Right.
Go ahead, Cherie. I'll let you go out. I wanted to ask Cherie.
Uh-huh.
I know you want to institute more programs. We've been talking about your leadership program,
Yes.
the things that you want to add on now that you're going into 7 years.
Yes.
You have your core group of guys like Gordon,
Anthony.
Ray, Tasha,
Rogelio,
Anthony,
Rogelio,
Rogelio,
Anthony,
Andy.
Tasha, Desiree, and now
Yeah.
you have your crew, and you want to start taking these steps, right? So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about what that program will look like once you've put it all together and
Yes.
put it out.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically, what I wanted to do, just like with your program in El Paso, Julian, is I want our program here in Las Vegas to be the model program across the nation to all the different Real Talks. And it again, not just here in Vegas, a holistic approach across the nation. And so I'm working on right now, this pandemic has slowed things down and it's allowed my mind to get broader and think outside the box again. And God has given me more vision. So, I'm looking at doing the career mentoring program, the leadership program, and then also our career prep program. And so all of these things, I have the career mentoring program and the leadership program pretty much laid out. We just need more help as far as bodies to assist us in moving this forward, and then grants to basically fund it to get it moving. The whole idea for all these different programs is not just to have the kids that come to our meeting 3 times and graduate and say, okay, thank you for your time, you've graduated. My idea is to keep these kids involved with Real Talk for a minimum of 3 years.
Yeah.
And I show that track record for these kids to be involved in our program to show that those specific kids who are in the zip codes that are supposed to be the at-risk zip codes, wherein statistically, they are supposed to fail. Yeah. So what I want to do is continue to attack those at-risk kids, and not just those at-risk zip codes, but in general. But I'm just being more specific because at the end of the day, the numbers that are incarcerated are from those specific zip codes. So
yeah, and that's where they're lacking funding, and that's where they're lacking community programs. And for those who don't know, Cherie has made Real Talk a free program to the community. So I hear this, the low-income communities were underfunded. And then we go try to offer our free services, and I've ran into this, Cherie, where and they don't want it, and it's so strange. Yeah. You're trying to come in and help the children of your community, of your schools, and it's, but that's a whole nother video of the red tape.
Yeah, no, for sure, because you as well as I know. I mean, I've been in the law enforcement arena for many years, the criminal justice arena for many years, and we tend to do things backwards. Now they're all of a sudden now realizing that drug addicts don't need to be incarcerated. They need treatment. Well, duh. Yeah. I mean, why do you think they steal from you and me? Yep. They steal because they need their addiction fixed, or get a fix for their addiction. So we're slowly trying to turn the wheel, so to speak, and get things in perspective to deal with the root of the problem instead of putting a Band-Aid on the issue. And so with the holistic approach about the Real Talk program and getting the kids engaged in the program, and then paying for them to get involved in activities as long as they have that 2.0 with passing grades, getting them involved, and then getting them involved in our career prep program, getting them involved in our leadership program, and then our career mentoring program, and getting all the different resources that are willing to be a part of this holistic approach with getting these kids involved and getting the resources to come in and say, you know what, I want to teach a class with those kids. I want to be that child's mentor in this career field. I want to be a part of the leadership program. So with everybody, in all voluntary basis, there's not one person as to date that is getting paid for anything on Real Talk volunteer list that we have. So of course, eventually we're going to eventually get funded, but for 7 years to date, there's no money coming to any staff on this program.
I mean, we went through. I know the CEO of Win sponsored some of these kids. Finley, Toyota, Los Caros. Los Caros.
Yes, Los Vaqueros. Yes,
Los Vaqueros. A lot of contributing factors. We had judges come on, probation officers, a lot, everything that wants to be part of the community, because everybody sees the need for something like, and with this going on with the pandemic and everything, with what's going on with the protests, funding is coming down the pipe. I've been keeping my eye on it. So now we have to, it's like, if we're we're already set in a place where we can help more people and
Mhm.
using all our resources. And just let's face it, some kids don't want to be going to school. They rather learn with their
Right.
hands.
Right.
That's what
Yeah.
we're going to be providing in the future.
Right.
Plus, being a search engine for people that want to be associated with that, where we
Right.
can delegate certain offices, professional services that if
Yes.
you need this, what's going on, we can send you this, mention our name, and they'll take you in because it's all eventually it's all going to come together.
Right.
Like, let me ask you this, Miss Shuri. Oh, and it could be for Julian too. Oh, let's get this right. Up to date before the pandemic hit,
Mhm.
how many kids went through our program?
Over 1,785 kids through our program, as of
Wow.
March, or
Li-
as of April this year.
And how many have graduated?
Over 980 kids.
So you hear if you hear that, viewers, listeners, live Facebook viewers, people catching on the replay, close to 1,800 kids we've helped.
Mhm.
Close to 1,000 kids have graduated,
Yes.
getting $150 a month in an activity of their choice that kept them off the streets before all this happened.
Yeah.
Julian was going with his program, and he was getting a lot of traction out there in
Mhm.
Texas at one point
Yeah.
in time, right? And this all hit,
Yeah, this thing
right?
just like Cherie mentioned, they're going. This is their our 7 year anniversary out in Vegas,
Yeah.
and El Paso's. We're in our first year, and this happened to happen to us, and it's been hard. Our
Mhm.
foundation wasn't as solid as Cherie's is,
Yeah.
as far as the time in the community. People serviced as many people as she's been able to help out there. So we're going through a struggle right now and just trying to stay alive and keep it open so that when everything does open, we
Yep.
have a program for the kids to come back to. So I'll take the time right now. If anyone's listening and you're in El Paso and you like what you're
Yeah.
hearing, you want to be a part of this, reach out to me at info@realtalkep as in El Paso.org. That's info@realtalkep.org. We're looking for anyone that wants to be a member, a speaker, a volunteer, a private donor, a supporter, a partner. Um, a couple of things we were supposed to start this summer got put on the back burner. We were going to have our entrepreneurship program together with Junior Achievement League of El
Nice.
Paso
Yep.
and Southwest University, who is one of our biggest supporters, is our biggest supporter. They were going to open the school to us. We're going to use the campus and have the kids come in and learn how to be entrepreneurs, how to manage money, how to start a business. And the COVID happened, and we've had to put everything on the back burner, but we have hope that
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
we'll be back after all of this, and
Yeah.
and we'll be
I,
stronger than ever.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
I
definitely.
I just like to say this is a regrouping phase, right? So,
Right.
Yes.
and all the things that we are going through right now as a society, but more in general as Real Talk, it's allowing us to kind of paint a different picture and move in a slightly different direction, because now we're all online, so to speak, with a lot of different agencies as well, but looking at things in that realm too, so we can kind of twist a little bit of the things that we're doing at the actual site.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
this is a move in a different direction, and I think that it's for the better. We just got to keep plugging away. And I wanted to note as well, Gordon, that we've given away over 105. I think it's almost $105,000 in activity funds to the
Nice.
kids who've been through the program
Right,
for the last
right, right,
actually six
Nice.
and a half years.
right, right. I mean, that's $105,000 well spent,
Yeah,
well utilized for somebody that, it's just not all about the kids and the parents of the situation. It's
right.
thinking about tomorrow and what's going to happen to them tomorrow. Because a lot of the kids, the speakers that we when we talk to physically, now we're going on this online space. The reason why we're doing this type of podcast is so we have a digital reference back to a situation later on. Say
Mhm.
we're not getting it physically, for all this time being
Right.
we've been doing certain things on a different level, but I have I've used expertise to do certain other things. We're just going to Right now we're just creating a database so that people can refer back to this and have an impression, whether it's on social media, whether it's on video, whether it's on the podcast, that both of our
Right.
programs are attached to something. Because one thing somebody's going to ask you, right, even between the two of you, they're going to ask, what's your
Mhm.
presence? And right now when I scrape the internet,
Mhm.
Real Talk EP pops up more than Real Talk Vegas, and
Mhm.
that's the reason for doing some of this, right?
Right.
Now, let me ask you. This is for both of you, right? This is for both of you. We'll start with Julian first. It's like a game show right now. I'm gonna give you.
I got a magic buzzer.
Right.
Do we win
All
any money?
right. Okay. In that short time, that you were open before this, is there one story about a parent or a kid that touched you in a way that it did?
Yeah, actually, in the short time that we've been open and we've been allowed to go into these schools, there's a story at every school that we've been to,
Right.
and there's a child at every school that we've been to that has tugged at our hearts. And when I say ours, is usually Lorenzo Paz will be with me, and Rosa Ramos will be with me, and Aaron Tapia at these events. And
Mhm.
I remember this one where we were at my old school, or not my old school, but in the community. They burned my school. They closed my school down. They built this new school there in the ghetto, and we're talking and sharing with these kids. And my friend Aaron Tapia, he's a member of Real Talk. He's sharing about his mom being a crackhead and his life changing and the turn that he took at that point. And this 9-year-old little girl starts sobbing uncontrollably. So we pull her out in the hallway, and she starts talking to us, and she shares that her mother's a prostitute, and she knows her mom's a prostitute, and everybody in school knows that she's a prostitute.
Wow.
And I just wanted to grab her and take her home. I just wanted to grab every one of those kids and
Uh,
hug them and take them home. And it's at that time I think I realized that, and I'm doing it now. I'm getting a little more educated on how to respond to those
mm,
things, because
yeah.
we're so quick to go out and share our story,
Mhm.
and then when we get slapped in the face with a real question, you don't want to give that advice,
Mhm.
and you don't want to. I, at least personally, I don't want to leave an impression on this child that I reached out for help and then this person didn't even know how to help. So, with that being said, I've taken it upon myself, and I'm looking into getting some certification, some sort of education on some kind of counseling, right? Because when we, and we need to think about this too a lot, is when we share a lot of it, if these kids aren't living this life, a lot of it is secondary trauma, right?
Mhm.
Now they're experiencing it through our words. And a lot of them, they open up with what we're doing because they are going through those things. And then
Right.
and then we need to be ready. It's like the pitcher's throwing the ball and there's no catcher. And
Mhm.
and
Mm,
that's how I felt that day. Was the
wow.
ball has been thrown. I've been waiting for this pitch. I've been sitting here and preaching and talking to kids, and I've been waiting for them to pitch it to me, and they did, and there was no catcher and there was no batter at the plate, and the
Wow.
ball. And but thank God there was a counselor there, the school counselor. Obviously, we're doing this at a school. The counselors are involved, but it was a slap in the face and a slap of reality to me that I need
Mhm.
to educate myself on these responses,
Mm, yep.
because I'm out here. I'm out here asking these kids to open up,
Mhm.
Yep.
and I'm like, they finally did, and I didn't know what to do, and I was like, wow, what am I doing? So,
Right.
but with that story, she changed the course and the trajectory of where I wanted to take Real Talk and where I wanted to take myself.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so
Beautiful.
that story was the one. It really just put things more into perspective, and it made me really think about what it is that we're doing
Mhm.
and the responsibility of what it is that we're
Yes.
doing.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And don't think I didn't have that before. I don't want it to
Yeah.
sound
No.
like
Yes. Yes.
I
I
came into
mean,
this playing a game,
Right.
but I can't. It's like I made it to the NFL. I didn't know they hit this hard.
oh,
Basically, is what it was, right?
That's a great
It's like,
analogy.
yeah.
That's a
yeah,
great analogy, right?
Right.
So
Right. Right.
people don't understand, and this is why here again, where when I'm looking for certain speakers, I have to know that you're sort of polished, if you will. You know what I mean?
Right.
yes,
Yeah. Oh, we
You
know.
just never know when you're going to have those circumstances, and that's
Yeah.
why even in our parent group, we have
Hmm.
a therapist that sits in the midst because we want to be able to refer to the professionals to address whatever issues they're going through. Because as I said with you guys, I always refer to you guys as doctors of the streets.
Yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't mean you have the professional abilities to, respond to a professional counselor's response would be different from what your response would be. And
Yes.
that's really the reason why when we have these meetings, so the public knows we're in a big forum, but we also have therapists available just in case for triage, like what happened with Mr. Julian here.
Right, right.
When we have those secondary breakouts where you guys are just going to be speaking to the kids and being able, as a more intimate setting, being able to hear the stories that you just heard, right?
Right.
So we'll have somebody engaged in that setting too, so you won't get there if your catcher's mitt is not ready to receive that. We got a counselor that will.
Yeah, because
Yep.
it's I wanted to jump into the table talks and to the group sessions a little bit more. And then when I got hit with that, I was like, if I'm not ready,
Yes.
right? If I'm not ready, then the members definitely aren't, because obviously they haven't been in the trenches as much with the kids. So this is a good thing for me to look back. And then now I'm looking for a resource to come out and give us some counseling training, some mentor training, basically to know how to take a blood pressure, how to put on a Band-Aid, how to check their temperature. We're not professionals. We're not going to be licensed counselors, but we will have some kind of training so that when these kids ask these questions, we can know how to respond, because man, that was a slap in the face to me was when she said that, and I was at a loss for words, because I'm like, how do I respond?
An eye-opening experience, right?
Yeah. I mean, what do I tell her?
It's really, really different, because I remember when Mr. Julian flew in from El Paso. He came to watch us work, and his team, his faces, they was in a state of shock, because you have to know how to pivot. You have to know how to respond. You have to read their body language. You have to control this audience. You have to deal with parents. You have to deal with different type of peers. And then you have an audience in the back watching your every move. And you have to be cognizant of everything, because some of the times it's a very emotional, touchy situation when you're talking to these parents that don't want to hear their stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember Julian came up to me and you said, like, holy smokes, I didn't know it was like this.
Yeah.
I say, but you'll get it. You know what I mean?
And honestly, this is why I always paint the picture to you guys, is that, this is another reason. I'm gonna throw it out there. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality that the insurance rate for ex-felons working with kids is extremely expensive. Now, I say that because you're not in an educated format, so to speak. You're speaking to the kids, but just that situation right there. Yeah. Right. So we as directors have to be cognizant of that and making sure that we have these pieces in place. So if you get that from that child, then the member or the speaker has to know what to do, when to do, and how to do it with that statement right there.
Right.
But your stories need to be told. Right. So the raw material you provide to these kids, it allows them to open up where they wouldn't open up to anybody else.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest pivotal point where these kids can go, he's sort of like me. How can I go and talk to him? It might not be the first time, but it may be the second time when they see you and then they want to open up. But thankfully that young girl opened up to you and we were able to get her some help and intercede. And then maybe she, had a better, had someone else that would actually professionally could sit down and chat with her and walk her through the next phase of getting through that moment.
Yeah, that's the beauty of what we do, right? Because she's 9 years old. She's obviously been going to school there for a while. The counselor says she wasn't aware, so it was good to bring this out to the forefront, and for her to speak up and feel like it's okay for me to go ahead and say it. Yeah.
She felt Yeah.
Let me go. Let's put Mishuri. You got the buzzer button, right? You got the buzzer button in front of you. What one parent? Let's see. Do you have a parent story or a kid story? Because I would say Mishuri deals with this all the time, right? But there's always that one that either moves you in that right direction. Do you have one that stands out to you also?
Well, I have one, and I'll share two though. But let me just show you guys. So we were going into the for a little while there to the detention centers talking to the girls, right, who were locked up. And even the guys, who were facing certification, and they had no clue. They're just young boys, thought they were men, and they're facing possible jail time or prison time. And they're just totally just not even cognizant of the reality of the circumstances. But so this is what drives me when I get thank you letters like this.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
The girls who were incarcerated, right? I mean, some of the things.
Read one of them off. Read one of them off.
It says, thank you, 3 ladies, Tasha, Cherie, and Valicia, very much for volunteering your time to come speak to us. Tasha, you really motivate me to be a better person. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you for welcoming us into your program. When I leave, I want to join the program.
Nice.
Thanks to everything you do. Really gave me insight. Thank you for everything you've done. These are the kids, the young girls who were incarcerated when we went to go speak to them, trying to inspire them and give them hope. And when they get out, they come and visit us. So letters like these are the reasons why I keep doing what I'm doing. But, and there's hundreds of more in the book that we have published for the kids, that book. And I know you pushed it, Julian, and also Gordon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hundreds of stories in here from the kids' testimonials about those who've been in the program. And that's what drives me. Now, when parents, as far as a parent story, it started off rough. So sometimes I'll get parents who are really irritated when they come and check in at our meetings, and they'll say, well, why do I have to sign this? And why do I have to be here? I didn't know I was supposed to go to the parent group. And I say, well, it's mandatory. So they're really upset.
Right.
They don't want to be a part of this. And some
make that distinction real quick, Sharice, because people over here, they're excited to come to our program. Over there, tell them why though, and what kind of kids those are. That way
exactly.
Okay, nice.
So we have kids who come from the courts who are court ordered, and then we have kids who come from the community who parents just want them to be involved to keep them, to give them an idea of the reality of life and to keep them balanced. So we have proactive kids, and then we have reactive kids that we bring into the program. So unfortunately, the majority of the parents who come and are irritated that they have to stay for the program are the kids' parents who are kids are in the custody of the juvenile courts. They're ordered. So when I get parents like that, and they'll say, "Well, why do I have to be here? And how come I have to fill this out?" And so I'm sharing with them, the comments that I would receive. Well, I don't want to stay. I didn't know I was supposed to stay, and I have things to do. Yada yada yada. And I would tell them, and then they would say, "Well, why? I feel like I'm on probation. I didn't do this crime, or I didn't commit this and that and the other." And so they're really frustrated and irritated. And so I'd have to slow them down and then basically just give it to them. Just not a sucker punch, just hit them dead in the face. Of course, not physically, but just
yeah.
And so
emotionally.
Yes, exactly. So I would stop them and say, hold on, time out. Guess what? This is not my child either.
Right.
I don't get paid for this, and I'm not on probation either. And I'm trying to help you help your child, and I do this for free. So help me help your child not become another statistic. Yeah. And so they're all fired up, and they have to stay. So they stay, and I've had this several times. They'll go to the parent group, and I let you guys do your thing in the parent group. Share it, raw stuff. Here it is. Parents, here's what we have for you. What do you have problems with? You know how you guys do in the parent group. You let them have it in a nice way.
Right.
So the thing is, when they come out of that parent group, they never did want to go to it. They come out, they're looking for me in the big auditorium with the kids to say, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for making me stay. That was awesome. I learned a lot. I'll be back next month.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the fight at the beginning, they don't have gloves on. I have my gloves, my vest, and everything on, ready for the fight. But they come without any weapons to really take with them, as to tell me why they don't need to be here.
Right.
So when I break it down to them, and then they go to those meetings, they come back looking for me, and they eventually love the program.
Yeah. It's so funny because when the parents come in, they have an attitude.
Yes.
All the time. And then when I start breaking down walls, when I'm talking about situations, some of them might have some of them might have a little bit more information. Some of them might have different aspects. But once they leave that room with us talking to the parents, you know how many hugs, how many thank yous.
I'm sure.
How can I get more involved, Gordon? You open, because we put it in terms, because like I one of the things I say to them is like, you'll never get another opportunity to talk to the monster down the street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am that monster, and I'll
Right.
give you, because of my situation, I can
Right.
change and give you the real life things between
Right.
doing everything on the streets. And they look at you like, and especially when they look at me, they look at me like, who, you?
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
Yeah.
and when I start talking, and especially when I have other guys, and they're like, oh, in fact,
Yeah.
I got a guy right here, Mr. Sean Gordon. He wants to be really involved. He wants to do Real Talk Wichita and everything. He's the guy I was telling you both about that was on TED Talks that opened 2 halfway houses in the Tenderloin. He used to be a
Oh,
shot caller,
nice.
and so he's
Awesome.
here watching it too. So
Good job,
he's
Sean.
looking at.
Good job.
I mean, I know him as a different name, but I can't get over his real name. So, but it's like,
Yeah.
but that's just one of those things. This is how we reach out using these
Right.
type of platforms, because we want to give other people platforms to voice their opinion, to change the course of their communities.
Right.
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 And it starts with everything else. I mean, that's just such a great story. I mean, just the fact that you have things. He's saying, I mean, let me post this out. Great talk, guys. I mean, he's already setting up his studio. Believe me, he's that type of guy. So he's like, it's one of those things that, any community, any crime, any type of kids, any type
Right.
of youth, it doesn't stop at your borders on the block.
Right.
And that's what Real Talk EP, that's what Julian is for. That's what all my speakers is for. This is what Miss Cherie's based on, that moving into that vision, right?
Right.
Julian, you got anything else?
Not really, man. I want to have more of these talks. For those of you that don't know, that are watching here, I do have another program called Real Talk, Real Topics.
Yep.
And you can catch that on Real Talk EP, and on there we're gonna start getting into, like Cherie said, the root of the problem.
Yep.
And I want to start addressing real topics that are affecting our communities: father absence, underfunding, undereducation, all of these things that are really affecting our communities, and bring it to the forefront. And if somebody wants to get on there and talk, if you're a community member, if you're out here involved with a nonprofit or with a service that we provide for the community, reach out. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about these things, and let's try to not just talk about them, because talking about them is just the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But let's get some people out here that know what to do and where to take action and what steps to take, so that we can bring real change besides the change that we're trying to bring with these kids and the felons, right?
Right.
And the parents, but just really getting out and taking those extra steps. And I was a part of a committee here in Texas for the Texas State Board of Educators, and I got an insight as to how to make amendments, how to make changes in our school systems, in our school districts, and it's really spiked and ignited something inside of me that
Nice.
I want to take where Real Talk, Real Topics is.
Right.
Not just talk about the topic, but let's talk about how to take action so that
Yep.
so that topic will no longer be a topic,
Right.
and it'll be a topic of the past.
Don't talk
Yeah.
about it. Don't talk about it. Be about it. That's my
Hey.
thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's what he
Cherie.
says.
Yeah,
Don't talk about it. Be about it. And as I shared a couple of things here, hey, I tell my kids and the kids in the program, good people talk about making things happen. Great people make it happen. And that's
Right.
we're really, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
yes,
Yep.
And if I go to take a shower, I don't take a shower with my clothes on, right? I got to unclothe myself to cleanse myself. So what
Yes.
happens in our society, and we see these things aren't right, we allow ourselves to take a shower. We don't get to the bare bottom. We have to get naked to get to what the issue is. And what's happening is people allow themselves to be somewhat clothed and try to get to the problem of the issue. You have to be totally transparent as a society to know that things are happening in our world that we need to address. Period.
Absolutely.
You can't say, well, they're doing okay. We'll worry about that next year. Well, next year, now we got another 100,000 kids.
Uh-oh.
Well, next year we got another 100 domestic violence cases. You know what I mean? So we as a society, and Real Talk, and this is what we do. We peel the onion layers back.
Yes.
We take off the clothes.
Yep.
We want to see for who you are and then build you back up. Instead of putting you in the gangster clothes, we want to put you in the suits, the business suits. You know,
Right.
we want to put you in that attire that doesn't show who you were, is what you are now to this day.
Yeah.
Right.
And if we don't start unclothing people and peeling back the onion layers, these kids are going to continue to be in the rut that they're in. The parents are going to continue, and we have to touch the parents. And
a lot of it from what I'm seeing is kids lack self accountability because
Right.
because the parents lack self accountability. I'm a firm believer in attitude reflects leadership.
Yep.
Right. I preach. I harp on that. Look at your kids. They're unorganized. Look at yourself. You look at your kids. They got a messy room. Look around at your house. You look at your kids. They don't have a schedule. They're not doing homework. Look at your schedule. Look at your responsibilities. Are they getting done? Because attitude reflects leadership, right? So I know that these kids aren't self-accountable because most of these parents aren't. Cherie, they can't even show up to get free money from Real Talk on time. Get an application in on time. You had 30 days to get your application in. And you want to send it to me midnight on the day of the deadline when technically you're no longer in that day.
Yeah.
And then but you expect your child to turn in their homework on time and do all these things. And here you are leading by example, leading by faulty example. That's a whole nother video.
Yep. Parenting 101. You are preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Right? Apples don't fall too far from the tree. And that is exactly why I left the juvenile system, because the parents weren't being accountable. And so that's why I left. And now I'm holding them accountable again. And there's no games. You know, I don't really care. Because here's the thing behind all of this. If we're not real with people, then they think it's okay to do those things.
Right.
So that's why it's called Real Talk. And if you don't like it, it doesn't matter. If you don't want to be there, it doesn't matter. Just leave me your child. Let me shape and mold and try to mend your child, and you do your own thing. But we have to take accountability one way or the other.
Cherie, I got a question for you, and because this is a topic that I want to touch on Real Talk, Real Topics, is with all this protesting of the looting and the rioting that's happening, because there's three separate things. Let's not put them all in one.
Right.
In one thing, right? What kind of conversations are we having with our kids at this time, right?
Ooh,
what is it that you're talking to your kids about in a time where this is what they're seeing, this is what they're being told is okay, and this is what's being shown on TV as okay, right? Mm-hmm. Now, we all know that protesting is okay. It's our legal right. But what conversations are we having with our children right now? You know, it's saddened. It breaks my heart this morning. I woke up to a report of a 14-year-old young black child that got killed, you know, in that autonomous zone in Seattle. What is a 14-year-old doing out there at 2 a.m. in a place where there's looting and rioting and lawlessness? You know, parenting. Yeah. What conversations are we having with our children? They're going off to college. They're about to be taken in by this beast that we call the world. Yes. They're about to be swallowed up, chewed up, and spit out. And what are we preparing them for? What is it that we're teaching our children, you know? And what conversations are we having at the dinner table right now with everything that's happening?
Well, the problem is this, overall, the problem is this, and what we should have started from the beginning, way back when the police were bad police. I'm just going to rephrase it as bad police who should not have been on the force from the gate, because you don't just change into a bad officer. I'm sorry, you just don't.
Right.
There was something innate that you had some type of unsocial skill, you had no diversity training or whatever it is. But here's the thing, as parents, if things are happening to African Americans dying or Hispanic people are dying from officers, it is our job as a parent to make sure that child doesn't look at every single police officer as horrible. Okay, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, explain to them you got good cops, you got bad cops.
Right.
You got good accountants, you got bad accountants.
Yeah.
You got good judges, you got terrible judges. You got good lawyers, you got bad lawyers.
Yep.
It all goes hand in hand. That's life. You don't put them all in a pool or in a pool, just like PDs, FPDs, right? Or federal public defenders or public defenders. Ex-felons and people in the system call them federal pretenders, you know, or pretenders, right? They don't think they do anything for you. I agree. Some of them are terrible, but you also have some outstanding public defenders. So we can't pull everybody together. So it is our job as parents to say, look, this officer should have never did this. This officer should have never did this. Here's what you have to understand. We need police officers. All of them aren't horrible. The idea behind it all is, look, follow the directives. Pay attention to what they're telling you. If you're black, white, Hispanic, whatever, but most specifically, blacks and Hispanics, do what you're told. There's an order they're giving you. Yeah. Do it. If you don't like what they're doing, you keep filing a formal complaint, because what happens in the dark always comes to the light.
Yeah.
Okay? So we have to educate our children not to hate people, number one, but more specifically, talking about police officers. Don't hate the police, because now you as a parent are talking so crazy about these police, and your kids are hearing all this.
Yes.
So what do you think your child is going to do when they leave the streets away from your home? They get caught up with an officer, and they're going to start cussing and fussing at 15 to 14 years old. Yeah. And when that child dies, now you want to file a lawsuit because you've already taught that kid to hate the cops.
Yes.
You know, so we have to stop letting these kids develop the mindset. I know everybody gets angry about police and killings. I get it. Read the book. You guys know my brother was killed by the state police in 1993. So I understand, but I'm not going to tell my child to hate the police.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that's
you have to talk to the children.
Yeah, yes. And that's the topic I want to touch on.
Perfect.
Real topics. Oh. You know, I want to share the conversations I've had with my son. Especially after last night.
It's really bad.
I can't imagine. My son's 15. That kid was 14. I can't imagine allowing my son to not be in the house at 2 a.m. and he's getting shot up in some. Yeah, it's very sad. It's very sad, and it's just a topic that I want to touch on Real Talk, Real Topics for next week. You guys are invited, Cherie, Gordon. If you want to get Desiree in on that one, I would love to have a panel of 4. And
I was just gonna say with this, we can bring in another fourth guest. In fact, that guy Sean, my friend Momo, he's all hyped up right now. I know right after this we'll be getting a call, but we don't want to spoil everything. We got to give some for next week or 3 days from now.
Oh, there's a lot. There's
I know there's a lot. Yeah, we got a lot.
And the more the more we get into with Real Talk, I'm going with these organizations.
Yep.
I'm meeting a lot, and we live in a border town, and so we have a lot of sex trafficking here, and so we're getting into a lot of topics and Vegas, I'm sure. Vegas,
we're
you guys.
We're top with the sex trafficking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's something that I'm learning about. And man, just being part of Real Talk has really opened that fountain of like. I just want to learn. I want to learn more about the things that are wrong, right?
Right.
And it's not that I want to live in misery or in sadness. It's that if you don't know your enemy, you can't attack it.
Right.
And to me, if you're coming after our kids, you're our enemy.
Right.
And if you're coming after the future leaders of our communities and of our country and these children, and you're trying to sex traffic them, you're trying to get them to join gangs, I'm coming after you.
Yeah.
And I want to know what's happening, and I want to be involved. It's a year-round thing of, all children matter. It's a 365-day job of all children matter. And it's not a seasonal thing. It's not something that we do because there's something has happened. Right. It's something that us that are here on this panel right now pound into our hearts and into these streets every single day of the year. Right. And because it does truly matter. And to me it does. And I know definitely after being in this 2 years and Cherie doing this 7 years, I could never doubt that it matters to her. I know 100% that every single life of every single child out there truly matters to her, because it takes a certain person to wake up every morning after knowing these horrible things that are happening, and especially to the kids that we personally talk to, and still wake up and still want to do this and just do it with a smile. And man, I've seen those kids go at when I've been in Vegas and Miss Cherie and they love her. And if Real Talk Las Vegas closed their doors today, people would miss you guys. And
That's the
that's what
plan.
I want
Yep.
with Real Talk EP.
Yep. Exactly.
And we haven't achieved that. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
We haven't achieved that out here.
Well, we'll
And you
get you
guys
there.
have.
Yep. We'll get you there.
Yeah,
That's not. That's
you're
not-
on your way. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're on your way. And the best part about this, guys, just for you guys, when you guys do start talking to the youth again, it really, really is powerful when you guys speak to the kids and tell them not to hate officers. All the people that arrested you, got you on the ground in custody, maybe even put a little beat up on you, when you were inside, but you probably deserve it. You guys know that. But you know, there's a cause, there's an effect, right? But those are the things though the kids need to hear from you guys. Not to hate the cops.
Right.
Now you're doing this, you understand these people are just doing their jobs,
Right.
But you have good ones, you have bad ones. Such is life. You have good parents, you have bad parents. It is what it is. And we have to explain to these children as parents these things so they won't go out in the street and be disrespectful. They won't get with an officer and be disrespectful, because you guys know these kids today, they'll drop the F-bomb right in front of a 70-year-old woman or me even,
Crazy.
It's just like no self-respect and respect for others. And I had to tell a kid at a park the other day when I was at my son's baseball practice, dropping the F-bombs. They were playing his little area. He was only like 12 and the kid's 11. Yeah. And I just went up to him and I said, he's just, they like to talk.
Right.
So we're playing a little water area, and then I'm sitting there trying to watch a game of a baseball practice, and he just kept dropping the F-bombs. I just got up. I just said, hey, how you think your mom would feel if she heard you talking like that? And he just looks at me like, who's this lady? I said, yeah, me. I'm talking to you. I said, she wouldn't like it, right? He goes, no. I said, then stop talking like that. And I turned around and walked away. I said, you got a 5-year-old girl sitting right here, and you're just acting like a little, you're dropping the F-bombs. That's ridiculous. And I walked away, and I didn't hear it again from him the whole time.
Nice.
Kids love discipline because it's structure.
It's care.
They know that somebody's concerned about them. When you don't have structure, and I don't care if my child comes home at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, whether that child doesn't feel like he belongs.
All right. Yeah.
So we have to instill, and when you guys start talking to the youth again, really implore them that, officers aren't horrible people. We just have bad bunches.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if I live my life the way with everyone that's ever harmed me or has been after me, Cherie and I wouldn't be friends.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You know how many bad probation officers I had that's the message that does need to be given out right now. And I believe we've gotten away from that. But let's close out. I apologize, Gordon.
That's all right. All right. I mean, this was the first time we tried this 3-panel. We're going to start getting 4. I wanted to say thanks for tuning in for the special edition of the 7th anniversary edition. And if you like this type of content, you got ex-felons working along retired federal probation officers helping out the youth in your community, please, if you have someone that wants to hear this type of message, please share it, Jen. If you want to get in touch with me or Miss Cherie, find us at realtalkyip.org. Or if you're in the EP area, Julian, where they can find you?
You can reach us at realtalkep.org. You can go on and donate. You can go on and find out more information. And if you want to be a part of us, info@realtalkep.
There you go.
.org, and follow us on Real Talk, Real Topics. They're on Facebook.
All right.
Real Talk EP.
Please like, share, subscribe. Watch this on the podcast. We're gonna be putting this on the blog. I've got a lot of things going on. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button so you get that notification. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, please watch us. Leave us a comment. Leave us an emoji. Leave us a thumbs up. Do something that can get us going. And if you need any help, we're throwing a lifeline out for you guys. You guys have a beautiful day. Until next week, thanks for listening. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.
All right.
Stay tuned. We'll see you live again.
Yeah.
As always, show your kids you love them. Have a good one.